Hi, and a great big warm welcome to the Ask Zofie podcast. This is season 2, episode 22, and straight in with a mini behind the scenes for you as I was sitting down, so I'm just checking my recording's all going, to record. It was 12:22 and I saw a car number plate this morning, and I'm one of those people, so I'm just trying not to move my microphone. I'll talk to you about that in a minute, but who loves angel numbers, and car number plates is one of the main ways that I see them. So I'm going to refresh myself after this episode what the significance of 2 and 222 is. Anyway, if you are watching this on YouTube versus just listening, you will see that I have a different setup. And if you listen, if you follow me on Instagram or you're one of my members, you will know that, not last Thursday, the one before, I moved. And anyway, I'll talk to you more about that in a minute, because actually before I get into it, I do want to do a pick from Love Notes. And today I've titled this episode Helping You Help Your Child. So this is really focused on parenting stuff. And basically, one of my lovely members and dear lady who's been through Manifesting Miracles with me, and I know her well, DM'd me about a week ago, I forget when it was, asking me for some advice about her son. And I was like, I've got so much to say. I shared some stuff and I was like, actually, I'm going to make this into a podcast. And so here we are, which I will get to in a minute. But before I do that, I'm going to carefully pick a page from Love Notes, because my microphone is so tentatively, precariously, if that's a better word, balanced, which I'll tell you about in a minute. So I'm going to do my best not to knock that from its perch and tune in and pick us a page from Love Notes. So bear with me while I do that. I'm really hoping also that the buzzer doesn't go for the door, because I am expecting something to be delivered from Amazon while I'm recording this, because it's really loud and will probably make me and you jump out of your skin. And as you know, or you might know, I don't know yet how to edit videos, so it's just gonna have to stay in if that happens. Okay. This is what comes up. I'm going to read both the pages. This is page 48. I've got you. Let yourself fall fully into me. I've got you. Let yourself fall fully into me. Let me love you. Come home to me now. Pretty simple, profound. Love it. Okay, before I get into helping you help your child, let me do my behind the scenes. I have so many things to say. I feel like I want to do a podcast episode just on the behind the scenes stuff. But I have been sharing loads of, well, not loads, but some pictures on my Insta stories of, I've not done any, apart from shout out to my friend and lovely decorator, Zofie, who came on Friday and sort of refreshed the lounge for me. I'm not doing any kind of proper renovation yet. It's more just cleaning and organising, but I've been sharing that on my stories. So if you like that kind of thing and you don't follow me on Instagram. But yeah, I feel like I want to do a whole episode. And actually, I do want to do another episode on me moving and how I manifested this. It's not just a move of home, it's so much more, but I won't get into that now because that's not what this is about. But the main behind the scenes is that my behind the heaps oh, my behind the scenes is so not looking good. Right, I have my Mac resting on a Cluedo and Connect 4. I had a feeling that I wasn't going to be able to quite set up my microphone properly, and I think, don't laugh when I say this, but I think I've got a loose screw, or a missing screw actually, because I can't get my microphone back on my usual stand. So it's on a different stand that it doesn't stick into properly, and it's like, I'm just going to say, in between my legs, and if I move in the wrong way, it's going to come toppling down. So there's that going on, and the what I'm calling apartment is really messy because I got the kids ready for school this morning, made them breakfast, went off. Went, by the way, top tip, bonus tip: don't go to Home Bargains if you've just moved. I mean, just don't go there anyway. But I went to Home Bargains because I wanted to get a drying rack, whatever you call it, drainer for my dishes to try and make it a bit more, what's the word, organized in the kitchen at the moment, which I found. And I also found many other things, which I knew might happen. But anyway, it's all good because they were really useful things. So, and actually, I probably spent about as much in total as I would have spent on a dish drainer in like John Lewis or somewhere. So it's all good. But basically, I look quite presentable from the waist up, but waist down, I'm wearing my gym. I can't think of even what they're called. My brain's still like, woo, my leggings. And what you can see, which obviously is behind me, looks pretty presentable. But if you go in the kitchen or you look behind what I'm facing, it's just so messy. If I get chance, I'll share some candid photos on my Instagram later so you can see, like, oh my goodness, what is the actual state of the behind the scenes. And the second thing that I want to share, because you know me, I share it all, is that next Monday, I booked this a while back. I can't remember if I told you already, but there's no particular reason, but for age, just because I'm a weirdo, basically, that's the reason. I've wanted to get, or been kind of toying with the idea of getting a colonic irrigation. And I was getting a beauty treatment the other week, and the woman was raving about someone who'd given her one, so to speak. And I was like, right, that's it, I am booking. And when I was in Spain with Daniel, have many weeks ago, microphone nearly went there. Oh my goodness. This is a challenge not to gesticulate. Please stay there. I don't actually have a name for this microphone. I feel like I should we just call him Mike? My goodness, actually, if I move my leg, Mike is going down. Oh my god, so many innuendos today that are not even intentional. But anyway, back to the colonic irrigation, and I will get to some useful points soon, I promise. But the soonest she had was that I could do was the 13th of March. Unlucky for some. Oh my goodness, I am a little bit nervous about it, but I'm going to reframe that and say it's excited, because nerves and excitement are exactly the same thing physiologically. Another sneaky top tip for you. But anyway, so next Monday I'm going to do that, and there may or may not be a podcast. And I don't mean because something terrible might happen, but I mean I probably won't get a chance to record 2 today because of my schedule. And so if there's a gap, it's either because something terrible's happened to me post-colonic, or I just haven't had a chance. But if I get a chance, I'll do it for next week. If not, it'll be 2 weeks time. Anyway, I will, I'm sure, let you know how the colonic irrigation, why does that sound weird now? Colonic irrigation, no, that is what it is, isn't it? How it goes. So please wish me luck. Is there anything that I don't talk about on this blooming podcast? Anyway, moving on. Helping you help your child. So, as I said, one of my lovely members and students DM'd me a little while back, a week or so ago, asking me for some advice about her son. And I've just kind of transcribed roughly what she said, because it was in a bunch of different whatever you call them on Instagram when it's a DM, but it's a voice whatever it is, voice message. So she said it was about her son, and basically the teachers have been, or teacher or teachers in his class have been quite negative, she describes, yelling quite a bit. And he'd said to her that they were sort of yelling at him. And she said, I didn't really take too much notice, because he tends to be one of those kids who will think that it's specifically him, but it's not. But then his friend came round and said, oh yeah, words to the effect of, every time the teachers shout or whatever, it's always this boy's name. Let's just call him why can't I think of a boy's name? Let's call him William. Okay, so every time they shout, it's always William. And so she said he's at a stage now, in a state where he feels like there's something wrong with him. He feels like he's to blame for everything. His self-esteem is really low. Usually his response to challenges or struggles is that he will get angry, but right now he's just sad. And he's asked if he could go and see if he has ADHD, because he's looking for something to kind of pin this on. And so she asked me, how do we help him get his self-esteem back? His narrative is just that he's wrong. She said she feels really frustrated that a grown-up is responsible basically for him feeling crap. And so I was like, right, I've got so many things to say. Sent her loads of different voice notes on DM, and I was like, yeah, I've got so many things, I'm going to do a podcast on this. Oh yeah, by the way, oh my gosh, the microphone nearly went again. Oh wow. Today I forgot I'd mentioned this, but Daniel had watched my podcast and reminded me that I did. Today is the last day to grab the money mindset makeover bundle that I put together for you. I will put the link to purchase it in the show notes. If you are worried about money, and if you want to go beyond, like people are talking about getting savvy with money and this, that, and the other, if you want to go beyond that and actually get to a point where you're making money savvy for you, please check out that bundle. It's got the 2 How to Not F It Up masterclasses that will really get your mindset right. It's got the money mindset masterclass, which it just contains so much golden content. I was listening to snippets of it because I wanted to find a snippet for Instagram, and it really was coming through me at that point in my life, because I was powerfully asking for this stuff on behalf of me and others. And I can just feel that the energy of it is so powerful and potent and golden. And then there's a magnetized money meditation that's in the member area. So if you're not one of my members and you haven't been to those masterclasses and you want to shift things relative to money, it all starts with mindset, it all starts with your relationship with money. Those resources in that bundle will really, really help you. It's the exact stuff that I've been using to up-level my money game. And I say this all the time. Any one of my loved ones that needed help with that and came to me, these are the tools that I would teach them. It's on sale until midnight tonight. It's $19.99. The value's like more than 85 quid, I think I worked it out at. And ultimately, it will really help transform your relationship with money. So check that out. So I just realized, oh, I did the microphone again. That would not, I think it's come out of the thing. Oh, hang on. I'm just going to hold it like this. So that you probably, if you're watching on YouTube, you're going to see like this startled me. Oh my goodness. This is a lady in the middle of a whirlwind, okay? And I would say I'm calm, the eye of the storm, but I'm not 100% sure that's true. But anyway, yeah, check that out. Back to the point and all the different things that I said to this lady, and I want to share with you now that will help. Sorry, I'm just having a see how my microphone's getting on. That will help really anytime there's an issue with your child, but just general tenets that are useful and notions and ideas anyway. So the first thing I said to her that I want to say to you is that this thing that really, really, really helps me relative to my children, relative to when I'm working with kids one-to-one, is this knowing that I have that we are all more than just meets the eye. There's more to us than meets the eye. So it's easy to look at, you know, a sick child or a young child who's struggling or having issues or whatever it might be, and really be like heartbroken relative to their situation. But when you remember that they're not just a 6-year-old or a 12-year-old or a little old lady or whoever it is you're looking at, they're a soul flooding through that system, that physical body. They're a soul who chose to incarnate into that body, into that existence. So this woman's son and each of our children all chose to be incarnated to you as their parent. They know that there is a school system. They know that we have governments, that we pay taxes, all the stuff that goes on this planet, right? They knew what they were signing up for. And that wise part of them is still flowing to them and through them at all points. So this infinite, infallible, invincible, infallible, invulnerable essence is there. It's more than just this physical being, this human being, this physical body. So please remember this. I find this so helpful and soothing. And know that, like, what kids are amazing when I work with them. They never cease to amaze me with how resilient and robust they are naturally, innately. And so he still has this part of him. He still has this innate wisdom. any child has this part of them to them, this innate wisdom. We don't need to be that for them. Really, it's about helping them to tap into that. And more often it's more about not getting in the way of them tapping into that versus actually helping them. So this is key. And then the second thing is how you feel is massive. Soothing yourself is hugely important, really, really helpful. You've probably heard that saying before, put your own oxygen mask on before you help anyone else. And we've all heard this probably on a plane. And the metaphor of doing this in life, if you go in and try and support your child when they have a sense of low self-worth or they're worried about something, but you are worried, it's like trying to jump in to save someone who's drowning, but you can't swim. You are more, instead of saving that person, you're going to take them down with you, which is obviously the last thing you want. So ask yourself, what do I need to hear? And soothe yourself with the answer to this. And thinking about this lady, what do I need to hear? What she might need to hear is, he's going to be okay. This is just a phase. This one of the things that I say a lot when I work with kids is the thing that helps me more than anything, perhaps, is that I had such a crappy childhood. And so I really embody the truth that I got to make that my platform, not my prison. And when you've been through that, you see that everyone has that same opportunity. And then it takes away the worry. Okay, this is the nature of contrast, the divine compost of the universe that I speak to a lot, is that when a child is going through a crappy time at school or with their friends or with a teacher or with they're unwell or whatever it is, know that there's a flip side to this. And it does have that capacity to be their platform and not their prison. And the other thing that I teach to parents is to ask yourself this question, so helpful. If I knew everything was going to be okay, how would I feel? Who would I be? What would I do? And start here. Again, this is all about soothing yourself first. Now, the other thing, really simple. And by the way, if you don't know this already, there's 2 things that I made to help kids, and they are so just like full of transformative, just information and tools and techniques. Again, I'll link all these things in the show notes. There's my little book of happy that's on Amazon, that I put all the processes I go through with kids in there so that I could reach more people without doing private client work. And then there's the member area for kids with the 13 meditations. And these things, these tools are there's just so many different things in there that are helpful. So I'll put the links to that in there as well. I'm just thinking, because the next thing I'm sharing comes from that, and I talk about it with the lady asking my advice. So this thing that I teach kids is, like, I will pick up something like my phone and I will say, okay, if I call this phone a shoe, what is it? And they'll go, a phone. Okay, because I call it a shoe, does it become a shoe? No. Exactly the same way, if somebody calls you stupid, does that mean that you therefore must be stupid? No, it's their opinion. And people are going to say all sorts of things to you. You're ugly, you're too fat, you're too thin, you're stupid. Whatever it is, if you don't know not to take that personally, like one of my favorite things is Don Miguel Ruiz in, I can't remember the book now, but I think it's the 4 pillars of something. One of them is, don't take anything personally. Don't take anything personally. Like, whoa, to get this in to the very suggestible, receptive mindset, consciousness, brain of a child, so freaking powerful. I remember in a session with a girl once who had issues with self-worth, like who doesn't? But anyway, these girls in her class were calling her names. And I said, tell me something that you have in your life that you really love, that no matter what anyone said, you just don't care. You love that thing so much, it can't change how you feel about it. And she's on my bed. She had this new double bed that she loved. And I was like, okay, well, imagine if I said, well, that's stinky, that bed. I don't like the look of it. The color's like rubbish. And I really don't, would you care? No, she said, I wouldn't care. You need to feel about yourself how you feel about that bed. Start to think in these terms. And I would say this to a child, to anyone. Now, the thing that stood out to me, just checking in my notes, that this lady said to me that was really frustrating her was, a grown-up is responsible for him feeling crap. Basically, that's what she was saying. And I said, there are certain heavy hitters in terms of thoughts that we think, right? And when we think them and we believe them, they really, metaphorically speaking, take us to our knees. And the reason they, metaphorically speaking, take us to our knees is because they're so contrary, so contrasting with, so out of alignment with what our inner being, what our soul, what our higher self knows. When we think it, it's like this massive, this just sense of coming out of alignment. I was talking with someone yesterday who was peed off about something, and it was because they were thinking the thought, this person is standing in my way. And your soul knows no one ever, no matter how it seems, can stand in your way. It seems crazy when you look at the physical reality sometimes, but the truth from a deeper sense, the truer sense, is that no one ever can. And in exactly the same way, no one can make you feel anything. So they can call you a name, they can say you're stupid. Like I remember Wayne Dyer talking about this. He said, if you're walking down the street and someone says, hey, stupid, and you turn around, like, why are you turning around? You don't want to own or imagine that you might be stupid. And it's that kind of thing. No one can make you feel anything. They can say something that you then respond to in a certain way. And this, of course, is massive in the whole world of self-development. How you respond is everything. And again, this is in that my little book of Happy. I've got like I think it's a drawing exercise where E plus R equals O, event plus response equals outcome. And there's some images on that. So that it's really helpful for kids to get that, yeah, you might be sat next to a learning partner that you don't like, or you might not really vibe with your teacher, or you might have to play football in the cold and you don't like it. Yeah, this is part and parcel of life. And it doesn't mean that life is not supposed to be easy, because it is, but at the same time, there are challenges innate within it. And when you understand that how you respond is your superpower, how you respond and focusing here is everything, game changer. Okay, so this, if I was saying this to the woman asking me, I'm going to say this relative to her son and also her. Like, that thought that someone can make him feel a certain way is driving you nuts. And the reason it's driving you nuts is not because it's true, is because it's not true. And your soul knows this because it's perceiving everything from that deeper, truer, fuller perspective. Okay. The other thing that I went into with this lady was a bit of human design. Now, I find human design so enormously helpful and fascinating for me, for my kids, for my loved ones, for working with clients, for informing my work. If you don't know anything about it, or you want to know more, I would say start with a woman called Erin Claire Jones. Erin, E-R-I-N, Claire Jones. Can't remember if that's got an E or not. I will see if I can put the link. It might not let me, but I'll see if I can put the link in the show notes too. On Instagram, you can go via her Instagram or whatever, straight to her website and work out your human design for free. But I wanted to mention it here because what I said to this lady was her son is something called a generator. Generators need to do things that light them up. And when they've got to do things that don't light them up, they find it really challenging to energize themselves. And of course, my answer on this aspect would be different depending on the type, the human design type of the child. But the reason I wanted to speak to it here is that knowing the human design type of your child can help you with these issues. Like my son is something called a manifester. They really crave and require autonomy. And so if he was having certain issues, I'd be thinking, right, how can I really up his sense of autonomy here? My daughter is the same as me. She's a projector. Projectors are really sensitive to energy. So, for example, she's in this big comprehensive school with loads of people. I'm going to be thinking about how can I help her manage her energy. A generator, like I say, they need to be lit up by things. So there's also something called a manifesting generator and a reflector. But generally, finding out about your kids' human design, your own human design full stop, is really, really helpful tool. The other thing that I said to this lady is go check out episode 22, season 1. Oh, I've just realized that's also episode 22. I think it is. Wow, all the twos of my podcast. Because in that I speak to our happiness needs. There's no point trying to fix all these things on a kind of a fixed level, a cure level, if you're not doing what I would call the preventative work. I speak to that in episode 22, where I speak to our happiness needs. If you have a kid, for example, who's not getting enough sleep, who is not doing enough fun things, who's not socializing enough, and then you try and help them out with their self-esteem, it's too little, too late. And so you want to get in on that level of prevention. And this lovely lady said, after she listened, she's like, I think she said she bought him a skateboard because he loves that and they were going to go skateboarding again. So that's really helpful for all of us, actually, that episode. That's the basics. And then the final thing I want to say is to do the mirror technique. So I've said this before, say it all the time, particularly with our children, they mirror our stuff back to us and it is magnified. Okay, so let me think of this example now. This example, the lady's concerned about his self-worth. So like, she might not have a major self-worth issue, but I mean, who hasn't got one to some degree or another? So if I was in her shoes, I'd be thinking, I'd say, what I said, call him William. William has low self-worth. And I'd turn it around and say, I have low self-worth. And then I'd look for examples of where that's showing up. And say an example might be, I say yes when I mean no sometimes. And then you tune into the part of you that does that. And you say, what do you need? And that part of you might say, I need you to just be. I need you to give me an imaginary hug. And you go, I will do that. And then you kind of do whatever it is, or decide you're going to do whatever it is. And imagine integrating that part back into you, in with you, embracing it. And because everything external reflects the internal, this bit works like magic. This is the work that we don't tend to want to do. We tend to want to focus on others and their stuff and not ourselves and our stuff, but it freaking works. I was going to say something else then that I didn't have written down that came to me, and I'm hoping it comes back as I'm thinking a moment, but I think it's gone. I think it's one of those brain farts. I'll just say, and hopefully it'll come back while I'm talking about it, but I was saying to Daniel this morning that my brain is tired because every little decision you have to make, I think it uses up a protein, I think it is in the brain, and it drains it of energy, which is why certain people like Mark Zuckerberg wear the same clothes every day, because it's one less decision to make. And at the moment, I don't quite know where everything is yet. I don't know how to get places from my new home. And so there are so many extra things to think about, and none of it's negative. It's all really positive stuff, but that can be tiring. It hasn't come back to me, that other thing I wanted to say. Right, if I remember it, or rather when I remember it, I will share it on my Instagram. But in the show notes, I'll put the link to the meditations for kids. They are really for kids about 4 to 12. It really depends on the child, but super helpful with sleep, anxiety, self-esteem, all that stuff. And then my little book of happy, that again, they need to be able to do some colouring in writing. So about 5 until approximately 11. Again, it varies, but you can check that out on Amazon. I'll put the link here. If you have any questions following on from this, please be in touch. I really hope you found this helpful. I'm actually holding on to this microphone. This might be the scattiest podcast so far, but hopefully you could just give me a high five for actually showing up and going for it. And actually, the other thing I want to say, which I wrote on my email to members this morning, anyone in my membership gets a Monday morning email with a tip and just kind of like a really loving kick up the backside to get them off into their week happily, is that this mantra of anything is possible came to me the other night. And of course, I've thought that before. I've said that, I've heard it, I've read it, whatever, so many times, but it was just in my mind, playing on my mind in the most beautiful way. And it really landed differently. And so I just feel inspired to share that with you too, is that this is your reminder that truly, this is the baseline, right? Anything is possible. And I was saying to Daniel this morning that one of the things that's helped me massively since I've moved is this mindset of every problem has a solution. And these aren't just words, it's about embodying this, okay? Starting to actually believe it and act as if you know it to be true, because it is. So these kind of ideas, to start to try them on and make them your core beliefs, so helpful that anything is possible, not just for me, not just for some rich person, some famous person, some whatever person, but for you, for me, for any of us. And yet, any challenge that comes up has a solution. It just really helps to create this foundation of ease and security and tap you in to that inner scrappy dude that I talk about, your soul, which just all of life is different when you're operating with that point of view kind of hand in hand with you. Yeah, the thing I was going to say has totally gone. I imagine as soon as I press stop, and it's going to come back to me, and I'm going to be like, no, the best idea I've ever had in my life. I will share it. I'll either share it next week or on Instagram or both. But thanks for bearing with me with my feel like a bit like, what was that guy in Some Mothers Do Have Them, the one that used to say the cat's done a whoopsie on the carpet? Betty. What was his name? I feel like yesterday, one final stupid behind the scenes, I was doing a bit of just touching up the paintwork on the walls, and I had the tray with paint and a tin of very full of paint, and there's stuff on my bedroom floor because I was like, right, I'm emptying that box. Just want to get rid of the box, and I'll bit by bit get rid of the stuff from it. So there were some things on the floor, and I went sliding. I was like, don't drop anything. And honestly, I do often think of myself as like a female, hopefully slightly better looking version of Mr. Bean, just somehow getting through life. And by the way, I can't grab it now because it's over there, but Brooke, my lovely friend, if you are watching or listening, she sent me something in the mail, and I'm so excited to open it. I will open it on my Instagram because I think she sent me some of her merch, and I can't wait to open it. But anyway, as usual, I'm going woo, way off piste. Imagine if I was actually skiing, I don't know where I would be. I wouldn't be on the proper runs, would I? Okay, thank you. Thanks for watching or listening. I will either be back next week or in 2 weeks. And I am sending you just so much love as you go about your day. And a final thing I want to say, this whole move of home for me, which I, like I said earlier, we'll talk more about, is genuinely a life-changing thing. And it's like, you don't need to care about me. It's not about me, this is about you. The reason I'm sharing it is because I want to be someone who's kind of like a trailblazer, or an example that really you can shift, you can change, you can up level, you can achieve, you can acquire, you can accomplish anything. And please follow along as I do this so that I can inspire you and remind you that it's also true for you. All right, loads of love. See you either in 1 week or 2. Bye for now.